Yo, this is Crazy Bone, and right now you checking Males Thursdays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are on. This is Mills Thursdays, man. And I got my brother that I've known since I was like 12, 13 years old, man.
Virginia days, man.
Virginia days, man. And, he's my brother, but there's one thing. I try to bring my brother to the right school. I went to Hampton, but I can't talk about the other school he went to. But
let me know when y'all have a vice president. That's all I want to know. Let me know when y'all have a vice president. Let me know when y'all have chief justices. Let me know when y'all have Black Panther, RIP. Let me know. And I know you aspiring to act, so you better.
What?
You said you better already recognize Howard if you aspiring to act.
I know. Hey. Yo, hey, I'll give y'all that. I'll give y'all that. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all got the names.
Yeah.
All right. But man, Chris, introduce yourself, man. What's going on? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna tell them why you're here today.
Let's go.
So there's a certain question, and I was like, I know Chris would be interested in this question. And right now, before we go on, please sub and like. That's what every YouTuber, man. You got to sub and like to this content and get more content like this. But anyway, you go on Mills Thursdays on Instagram, you vote on these questions. And there was a particular question every Thursday you get. I asked, check this out. And I was like, let me see what he thinks. So I asked the question. I said, Willow Smith recently opened up about being polyamorous. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to handle being in a polyamorous relationship? And I asked the people that vote on Mills Thursdays on my Instagram that question. So the options were the more, the better, or I'm just good with one. Mm-hmm. 19% went with the more, the better.
Okay.
81% went with one, I'm just fine. So with that being said, why did I bring Chris here? Because Chris has been there are two different terms. Please explain it. Introduce yourself. I'm talking too much.
What's up, everybody, on the Mills Thursdays? My name is Chris Smith. I am a polyamorous advocate. I've been operating or living a polyamorous lifestyle for now going on over 10 years, 11 to 12. I love it. It's cool. I do research on it. I'm getting my PhD in education focused around education on consensual non-monogamy at universities and advocacy for students that are there. Part of the American Psychological Association Committee on Consensual Non-Monogamy, where we nationally advocate for therapeutic practices and also legislation that pushes for rights, and so many other things. Been conferences published. So I'm passionate about making sure people are recognized for how they should be recognized. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey, man, and honestly, it's great what you're doing, man. You put it on the platform, and I see you can see Chris on many things being interviewed on YouTube. I've seen Facebook. Chris is everywhere. Chris has been known for this. So why not ask Chris these questions? So 19% with that question I had earlier, that 19% said, you know what? The more the better. How do you feel about that, hearing that and being an advocate for polyamory?
I mean, I feel like this. I feel when people automatically think about polyamory, just think of it as an opportunity just to be a wild boy, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the more the better, I think out of that 19%, maybe 5% really know the ins and outs of what it means to be polyamorous or consensual non-monogamous, or they automatically think about polygamy. And there are two different things. Like polygamy is where there's two forms of it. There's polygyny and polyandry. Polygyny is where a man has multiple wives. Polyandry is where a woman has multiple husbands, and both have existed throughout the history of human civilization. Not so much more now because of how much patriarchy and misogyny has taken over our social norms. But if you go before the advent of agriculture and the idea of passing down lineage by who is the offspring of the male, there were polyandrous societies, or where women had more agency over who they dated, how they dated, or how many people they dated all around the world. So but with polyamory, it's more of a free form. You get to construct your relationships the way that you see fit. So everybody can have multiples if they choose to, or if they choose not to. But the three keys are: you have the freedom to do so, you're empowered to do so, and it's honest.
And that's where I'm going to go to. Honesty, I can tell honesty is the main subject in polyamory, period, in relationship. Yeah. And I'm going to ask later on. So after that, Mills Thursdays, the 19% said the more the better. 81% said just one is fine. I had one person comment this. With this reply to this question. So they said, word for word, no alpha male or female would ever be okay with sharing partners. I'm not saying alphas are superior, but if you're polyamorous, you're probably beta, which could be a good thing. It means you have no ego. She says, couldn't be me though. Now, if you're an alpha hoping to have multiple partners catering to your needs, just know that you're not going to find another alpha in that relationship.
Man, there's so much toxicity within that whole statement, bro.
Yeah. That's why I was like, hold up. I was like,
what? First of all, this whole idea of an alpha and beta is based off a cultural norm that somebody has to be dominant or superior. And it's really, I'm not going to say a completely colonized ideal, because there are sets of leaders in so many different ways. But the fact that your leadership depends on you, or your worth or your alphaness depends on you being the only one of a certain type, I think that's more of insecurity than alphaness. And I'll say it again. If you being an alpha means you're the only one of a certain type running in a pack or a group, you're not an alpha. You're just insecure. Period. You should be able to have somebody as strong as you, as smart, as wise, as independent, as self-aware as you, as your partner, knowing that they need other things as well, and that be okay. A lot of it comes through people's ideology that their worth is based upon them being the only. And that's a mononormative trait. That's something we've been taught. I have to be number one. Like the conversation over who's the best basketball player of all time. It goes straight to that. Some people say Jordan. Some people say Bron. Some people say Kobe. Some people say Wilt. Some people say Oscar. But you say like this, you put them all on the court at their prime.
First of all, that's beautiful basketball.
It won. That's a game I want to see.
Yeah. That's all in their prop. So, okay, I see where you're going. So basically, it is a team effort. And you know what? It's a team effort even in a monogamy relationship.
Exactly.
It's all based on the same thing, honestly. Like all this, there's no alpha or beta, but as long as you two have the understanding, or it could be multiple partners within that relation, have a basic understanding of what is going on and who they are. That's all you need. Ain't no alpha, ain't no assign. I'm going to assign Keith to be an alpha. I'm going to assign Allison to be a beta. This woman's going to be a beta. You know, it can't be like that. So I'm rocking with you.
Like in the 10 plus years I've been operating in this way, I'm a pretty dominant person. I'm a very outspoken, very confident. I have my insecure parts. I have things that I know I need to work on. But there's one thing you can't take from me is the confidence that I have in who I am as a person. A lot of people think that in those situations that you're degrading yourself because your partner has something else, right? Your partner wants something else. I can be full confident and say that I have faults, and there are things that I may not want to do, or that I just don't have the capability or the desire to do. And I feel that true alphas have the ability to be selfless to the point where they can recognize that they are not able to do something, but still want their partner to be fulfilled. And I think that is what we have to think about in relationship. If your idea of being an alpha or being in a relationship is that this person should get everything from you, you're setting yourself up for failure. Going back to the basketball analogy I drew, right? Michael cannot do what Will did.
Right.
Barely anybody can do what LeBron does. Les can do what Kobe did because Kobe proved he could do what Mike does. Bang. So it's everybody plays a part on the team. And if you build your relationships right, it will be a harmonious team. Of course, you're going to have your issues. People always ask, like, what about jealousy? What about this? Jealousy is a response to fear. It's a response to an insecurity. If you're jealous of something, it means you do not know how properly to think about that, not take it in as something personal, and work through whatever emotion you're feeling, or the fact that you just it may be like fear of missing out, or you may fear that if somebody's talking to somebody else, they'll leave you. You may fear da 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 da. Those emotions are based off insecurities. They're based off fears. They're based off the fear of loss. They're based off the fear of being replaced. They're based off the people say, well, I just don't want to share. I'm like, why? Why are you so afraid of sharing for?
So, all right, let me ask you before you go on. So have you personally dealt with somebody kind of fearful in your polyamorous relationship with multiple partners that you've had? And how have you dealt with that as a, dominant man yourself with the traits, but willing to give off your ways as well? Have you made them comfortable? Were they ever not comfortable? Were they comfortable? Or how'd you deal with that fearful person, if you've dealt with that?
Dealing with that fearful person, even dealing with myself with the own, because I have responded jealously myself. Like I said, nobody's perfect. What I do for myself and what I do for my partners, first I validate their emotion, and that's the key. The emotion's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. How you respond to it, and then what you try to require from your partners to make your insecurity subside can be toxic and problematic, particularly if it's denying them or depriving them of something that's pivotal for their emotional, mental, and sometimes physical well-being. So for me, I dig into myself, and for my partners, I ask, okay, I validate your emotion. What are you afraid of? Okay. Some people don't have the answer to that question because they're like, I don't know, I'm not afraid, because people stigmatize being afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's okay to be afraid, but you can't act afraid. Okay. So be afraid. I'm like, okay, are you afraid of losing something? Are you afraid of missing something? Are you just uncomfortable because it's a new situation and you haven't built up the responses to it? You haven't thought through how it impacts you. How much time do you need to work through it? And in the meantime, how can I support you as you work through it without denying myself something that is honest, transparent, and loving?
Right. So you're basically loving them and saying, hey, this is my loving relationship towards you, and I got you. Basically, I got your back. There's nothing to fear about. There's nothing to fear about. If you in this, we in it together. Let's do this. And I got you. Is there something wrong? Hey, come over here. Let's talk.
Let's talk about it.
Chris, you always been a good person, man. That's it. That's why you've been my brother forever, man. That's a real shout out to you. Okay. Yeah, so I got one more comment from here. So one of my friends, he commented saying this, yo, that's important. We need to hear the inside details to that life. And I told him before that, I was like, hey, I'm going to interview somebody who's been in a polyamorous relationship for 10 plus years. And he was like, I couldn't do it either. I just need to know how he does it. Is it safe? Like, damn, what are the rules to that? You basically explained the rules. Let's see if I'm wrong here. Communication and transparency. Those are the rules.
Those are like the ground morals behind and beneath everything. In that everything. Transparency, authenticity, basically not judging people, but allowing people to be their authentic selves. Now the issue is that we're human, right? So we're going to mess it up without a shadow of doubt. We're going to jack it up. I've jacked it up. You know what I'm saying? In my 10 plus years, I've definitely made horrible mistakes. Like I had to have a conversation with a partner of mine the other day about how I responded weirdly to something because I had proactively communicated something, and the way in which I communicated, that person just didn't comprehend. And time had gone by, the same thing kept happening, and it got to a breaking point. We had to take some time, just like in any of our friendship or marriage. Sometimes you got to take some time to be away from each other. Or it's like The Prophet by Khalil Gibran says, if you're trying to build a house, you can't have the pillars right next to each other. They have to be spread apart in order to support the foundation of the structure. Right. For him, it was a temple. It's the same thing. If you're going to have strong pillars in a relationship, sometimes y'all need that space. So we took the space and we figured out, it was literally it was a lack of understanding a style of communication.
Mm.
So like,
okay. But go ahead.
You got to work through that. So the ins and outs is just like the ins and outs of any other relationship. Now there is time differences. You have to schedule out time. You do have to say, hey, according to your living situation or what particular type of polyamory that you are in, there's different barriers, but the rules are set, or the barriers or the boundaries are set by the people in the relationship.
Okay. So let me ask, say, what's the worst thing that you've done? If you can be open about that. You don't have to be like truly open, but like what's something that people who are interested in polygamy or being in a polyamorous relationship, what is something that you can admit that you've done wrong in the past, and you want to make sure that anybody who's in this type of relationship, this is what you do not do in it. So what did you do?
Okay. I got 3 things for you, because I can be transparent about it. The more we're transparent about it, the better we can operate. Okay. First thing, don't spread yourself out too thin. Right when I started this 10 years ago, I was like, okay, you're my partner, you're my partner, you're my partner, you're my partner. And I spread myself thin without building solid relationship, without really getting to know people, because I was just excited that I was okay with having multiple. They were okay with having multiple. And it was like walking for the first time into fresh air when you're stuck in the house. And you just go, wow, it's like these people, when they, lower the mask ban, everybody is out here frivolous. Mm-hmm. Frivolous. So right. Don't be just out here. So, you know what I'm saying? And it caused me not to be able to really pay attention to my partners. I couldn't really I didn't have the time, nor did I have the wherewithal to truly feed our relationship, get to know them as an individual and support them the way that I should have. So that was the first thing I did wrong. The second thing I did wrong was expect everybody to have or the same communication style as me. I'm a very, very proactive communicator. A lot of people aren't. I'm a personal advocate for proactive communication because I think it nits stuff in the bud often. But sometimes life happens and people don't know how, may be nervous to, or just fear, that's basically afraid to communicate something up front. One particular situation, one of my partners went out with this person, and I asked her, I was like, hey, what's going on with the relationship? Do you know what's up? Is it going to be physical? Or are you going to use protection? This is all the things that, I like to say up front. And she was like, well, I really don't know. I just don't see him like that. I'm just going to go chill. Well, come to find out, it wasn't just that. I just come back and I'm like, all right, so what happened? And she, she was like, well, it kind of went farther than I thought it would. And so and so and so forth, blah, 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 blah. Now for me, I'm like, yo, why didn't you just tell me this ahead of time?
You're not the jealous type.
Yeah. Like, you can tell me ahead of time. And that used to frustrate me. That used to frustrate me to my core, bro. And I had to realize that, one, everybody is taking this journey differently. We're all coming from a particular blueprint that we're not used to operating in. Right. And because we're not used to operating in that blueprint, it's touch and go. It's an experiment. You're figuring out how to walk when you're used to been crawling the entire time. You're literally trying to figure out when you let's say you're trying to switch from engineering to architecture. Though they're similar, fields, they have a lot of similarities. They have different specialties and specifications and qualifications that you have to work through. And that's what it is. So I had an issue with patience when it came to that. And that's another thing. You have to be patient with people's growth processes. Simply because you move quick in one realm and they may not, you can't disrespect them and you can't push them to place or force them to try to move in a certain way. That's controlling. Right. And it's the same thing. And that's relationship period, whether it's polyamorous or monogamous. That's just healthy relationship. And the last thing is, this is really, really important. Okay. You have to keep your partner safe physically. You have to. You have to talk about those boundaries when it comes, if sexual interaction is part of your other partnerships. What are they comfortable with? How often are you going to get tested? Are you going to use condoms? Are you not going to use condoms? If that person's comfortable sharing, what is that other person's partnership thing like? Do you get tested? How often do you get tested? What type of things do you get tested for? Are you willing to share those tests? Are the people you're partnered with willing to share those tests? You have to get to it, because all it takes is like a web. All it takes is for one person to, limit information or not be as careful as they possibly can be, and then the entire web may end up with something. But again, that's just healthy relationship, period. You should be doing that whether you're in a polyamorous relationship or not.
Right.
Because your goal is, if you're interacting with these people, to keep them safe. So that safety comes from the intentionality. It comes from the patience, the knowing that people grow, and it comes from the proactive, care for people's physical well-being.
So cheating,
okay,
people in polyamorous. So basically cheating is, yes, the relationship that you're in is open, but if you break that boundary and say, okay, the girl that I like, right? She's talking to another dude. And right, they have sex. That's cheating if I'm in a polygamous relationship.
If you're in a polygamous relationship, yes.
Right. Okay. Right. Just for people to give clearance on that, because most people have that one-on-one. So just because a polygamous relationship, there's 3, 4, whatever, how many people in there, doesn't mean that everybody just comes in that inner circle.
Whoa, what's the thing? Again, there's a difference between polyamory and polygamy.
Polyamory, yeah, right.
Yeah, in a polygamous relationship, yes, that is cheating, because it is, again, one to many, and the many can't have others. One to many, and the many can't have others. It's one having multiple, and the others not, right?
Right.
And it's also marriage-based. So, and traditionally.
Polygamous
now,
is marriage-based, correct?
Polygamist, yeah. Polyamorous is relationship. So, according to the agreements you make in your polyamorous relationship, it can be cheating. Like we have something called fluid bonding, which is basically like you hitting raw, right? If you say you're only going to fluid bond with one person, and then you go and you both agree to that, and then you go fluid bond with somebody else, because y'all might have went out, you might have just had a great time, too many drinks, whatever the whatnot, and it goes down, and you do not in some way try to communicate it, or it's up to what process for procedure. For me, I've had a fluid bonding type relationship where the person only wanted me to fluid bond with them, and if I wanted to go fluid bond with somebody else before it happened, I had to let that person know. So I had to, whether it was a text or a call or something, and ask the pivotal questions like, okay, when have you been tested? When have you da-da-da? And a lot of people are like, well, that messes up the mood. I'm like, if somebody asking you whether you're going to keep them healthy messes up your mood, I might not want to sleep with you.
Yeah, you want something different, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You want something different.
And I've heard that from guys and girls. Like, no, it doesn't, no. Like, let me know I can be safe so I can go all out. You feel me?
Right. Exactly. But that's also in just lifestyle, period. Yeah. Communication is key. So currently, I'm going to ask you this. You're currently in DC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, is Washington, DC as open to polyamorous relationships as a place like Los Angeles? The reason why I'm asking that is because, me growing around the DC area and being from Virginia, it's nothing but structure. And you have to do this, you have to do that, 1, 2, 3. So how open is it right now? What is the scene like right now for the DC area?
Oh man, the scene's expansive. Even though DC is a very political and structured area, a lot of people still operate in very free ways, but they always measure that against how they will be perceived professionally, right? So I've walked into, let's say, poly meetups, right? Where I've seen people that I worked with, and I'm like, and I'm the out loud one. And I'm like, yo, this whole time, bruh. And they'll be like, yo, Chris, we want to say stuff, but we're not as brave as you. But, so and so, but we appreciate you. And we did. Or I've gone into on Facebook and Instagram. There are a lot of, even, Clubhouse, so on and so forth. There are a lot of polyamorous groups for everything. There's Black and poly, Latino and poly, queer and poly, lesbian and poly, like trans in poly. There's all these groups for people married in poly, and for all these people. And the people you see pop up on there,
I'll be surprised. I'll probably know some from back home.
I'm just gonna say a lot of people we grew up with ain't what they seem to be on their social media. I'm just gonna say that. I ain't gonna call nobody out.
Spoken to you? I know they spoke to you like, Chris. This is it. They could be open with it, but yeah, you've been the main advocate for years. Even for me.
Yeah,
when I heard, I was like, what? no, and this is back what? This is 21.
Yeah.
So 2008, are you saying?
2009, 2008, yeah.
You know we weren't open to that.
No,
especially
not at all.
where you know that. It's like, dude, it was smaller. The scene was smaller, but we have people like you to spread the awareness, and that has been great. So, how did your parents view that? How did your parents?
My parents, they come from a very traditional background. Also, they're also raised in what actually, and I don't know if people know this, the government keeps track of what they consider religious cults. My parents grew up in a cult that was very, very, very strict. But also had a lot of like sexual abuse issues in it, so on and so forth, because they were very, So my parents, even though they got out of that, they still hold on to some of those extremely conservative, traditional values. So when I came out and said, hey, look, I'm poly and queer, all this stuff, luckily I had the buffer of my siblings before me, but I brought that extra little flair of, I'm going to have multiple partners. And, if y'all ever want to have me over for Thanksgiving or Christmas again, it might be 2 or 3 people with me, and you're going to have to deal with that.
Right.
And they were just like, okay, I understand. My mom said this, and this is the funniest thing I've ever heard my mom say. After I explained everything out, I was just like, she was like, your dad's penis is mine. I'm like, first and foremost,
what?
Lady. Yeah, that's what she said. My dad started laughing, yo. My dad died. He started laughing. But that's because they thought initially that it was just a sexual thing. But I'm like, no, there are partners that I have that I'm not sexually interactive with. It's literally just having those relationships, and those relationships being all important and of equitable ground. Like it's like a piece of a puzzle. And the puzzle's not complete unless all the pieces are there, whether it's a big piece, like I live with this person, we pay bills together, economically big piece, or emotionally big piece. Like this is a person I can call at 2:00 in the morning if I'm going through something. A mentally big piece is like, this is the person, if I'm trying to do this assignment or write out this paper or do something academic, I can go to them and they can give me advice. Or whether it's a physical piece, or this is the person that we can go work out together, or a sexual piece. So this is the person I can explore sexually with. Each piece is important and they make us up. So instead of putting pieces on a pedestal or expecting each piece to have so many sides that it can fit every single space, or it can transform to every single space, allow people to be the particular piece and respect them all the same, and give them all that care and give them all that love. So going back in DC, it's vast, man. There's so many people, there's so many communities. It's a little bit more hidden, but we actually, me and a friend of mine, he's a lawyer, his name's Ben, we just put forth legislation in DC, and it's at the council right now, to have domestic partnership rights opened up to people in non-monogamous relationships, to have anti-discrimination laws, particularly employment, concerning housing, concerning children, concerning custody rights, concerning power of attorney for non-monogamous people. Because you could be in a relationship with somebody for 25 years. You could be in, let's say, a triad, 3 people all together. And if you've never put on the books, or you don't have the right to put on the books anything, when that person dies, the power of attorney or the authority over their estate still goes back to their closest family member, even though you've been with them for 25 years.
I did not
know that. That includes kids. That includes, and it used to be the same thing for LGBTQIA. And that's why, because again, same, you would see it with, let's say there's 2 gay men who have been married, who have been together for 30 years, could never get married, could never, unless they do a particular will. But a lot of people, one, don't know the procedures to do a will, nor do they have time or access to that information. If they don't put it in writing, their family can stop the partner who they've been with for 30 plus years from coming to their funeral. So like,
Yeah.
these are the things that are being pushed. You know, there's already 2 places that have passed ordinances on it. There's another one, 2 of the 3 are in Massachusetts. There's one in Berkeley. Utah has decriminalized polygamy because it used to be an arrestable offense. In DC, there's legislation. And all around the nation, there are people petitioning their local governments or state governments in whatever locality they're in for these rights, because we're everywhere.
Let me ask you, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see friendships change due to this lifestyle?
Oh yeah. There are a lot of, I lost a lot of friends, particularly more so male friends. I lost a lot of male friends because they would always see me as a threat. Like, who is this person coming through spitting this ideology or living in this manner? 1, a lot of it was jealousy. 2, a lot of it was jealousy because they can't or will not do it in the same open way I do, even though they're low-key cheating on their partners or significant others. And they're like, yo, Chris, can I come kick it with you? No, because you're not honest. And I'm not going to get caught up in your ish because I'm doing this honestly. I don't want that karma on my life. So no, you got a girlfriend. You can't kick it with me at these poly events. That's not how it operates, bro. I'm not going to be sneaking around with you. This is what we're trying to stop. We respect relationship. So we're not doing that. Second,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so it's energy. You're like, look, hey man, if you're about shit, you ain't bringing that shit.
You're not bringing that shit to me, bro. I'm living my life. My life is nice. You're not bringing that shit to me.
That's good.
But the other thing is they're afraid that catching wind, because polyamory in the way that it's operating is a very freeing experience for women who are used to a traditional patriarchal mononormative based society. It gives women choice.
Right.
And the power and the authority and the right to step out for that choice. And a lot of women are even afraid of that. They're like, but when they
right.
Yeah, so I lost a lot of, particularly like people in relationships like that I've lost friends. Some of my other friends, we've grown closer because now they can feel like they can come and be honest with me about who they are and what they are and seek advice. And I can direct them to professional counselors and therapists. I'm an academic. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I think I have smart shit to say, but I can't, do what professional clinicians do. So I'll point you to the resources. I'll say, hey, if you want to talk to somebody who is a counselor who's non-monogamous friendly, or go with your significant other to a place that you can start to ask questions and explore, I got the resources for you. I'm your connect, what you need. I got the bag for the 20.
You're the plug.
I'm the plug.
And you know what, man, that's great. So we're gonna do one more question. All right. So, well, not really a question, but just you taking the floor on this. So for the people that have preconceived notions about the lifestyle, what would you want them to know? Because honestly, for me, I see a lot of judgment from my eyes and what I hear. And I do see a lot of judgment. For instance, Willow Smith, she caught slack for that. So what can you say to those people who are not really open-minded to what society has shown?
Okay. I would say they have the mindset akin to a racist.
Oh.
Judging something before you ever get a chance to understand it and interact with it. That is the same mentality as a racist. That's the same mentality as a sexist. That's the same mentality as a homophobic person. That's the same mentality as a transphobic person. That's the same mentality as a colonizer. That is the same mentality as you're literally judging something based off your own set of information that could be, has been greatly, greatly misinformed. And you're not even giving it a chance. And you don't even, simply because you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to say it's for you, but you got to respect it. And you got to respect other people's right and ability to do it and not deny them rights and protections and acknowledge that they exist. You can feel however it is you want to feel. Like white supremacists, feel how you want to feel. You may not change, but you damn sure I'm going to be able to vote and I'm going to be able to walk outside without fear of getting lynched. I don't care how you feel. You better keep that over there, though.
Facts. Wow.
And That's what I say to those people. If you're closing yourself off because you simply don't understand, find somebody to talk to, seek to understand it. If it makes you uncomfortable, so what? It's not about your comfort. It's about the people being able to live authentically and openly and protected the lives that for some people, this isn't a choice. There are people who are born that have always operated in this way.
Wow. That's the end right there. That's the end right there. Yeah, hey, that's an exclamation point. Done.
Period.
For the people, look. So you the plug. You the plug. So if anybody has questions,
please,
where can they reach you, Chris? You want to plug in your IG? What you got so they
can
reach
you can get me on Twitter. It's just CN Smith. You can get me on IG. It's Lamore E. Vittori. I can give it to you so you can put it up on the screen once you put it on the thing.
For sure.
You can catch me too. I'm not gonna put my number out there, but you can catch me on Facebook.
All right. What if someone from Mills Thursdays every Thursday, they're like, yo, can I get his number? Fine. Yeah. Here, take his number.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, Mills.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Got you to connect. You can hit me, and it's completely cool. Like, I'm here to connect you to the resources. And if I don't have the particular answer that you need, I guarantee you I know somebody that does. I guarantee.
I know. My man, Chris.
Yeah, bro.
With the knowledge, man.
There you, man.
From now I'll say it. From Howard.
From Howard University.
From Howard, okay.
The Mecca boy.
Hey, I'm giving you props because you brought the knowledge today from Howard.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And this is Mills Thursdays. Like I said, make sure to sub and like Chris. You're gonna like this too. Obviously, you're in the video, so you'll share it too.
Hey, I'm about to share it, put it out there. I'm gonna put it to my groups.
Spit nothing but facts, and I'll let you know when this is out. Again, thank you. Mills Thursdays. Bless.